Although our team has some very talented members, most of these scripts have been written by our writer-producer Sherry. And usually after the end of the crop circle season, she will begin to work on Nostradamus. In 2017, we made some predictions and got most of them right. Then a year ago, we released our predictions for 2018, and we got all of them right. Yesterday, she released 6 predictions for 2019. The video brought some joy and sadness. We were happy because despite our hard work, all the prior Nostradamus decodings were kind of ignored. We were happy not because we will make a little bit of money in advertisement revenue, because it was never about money and there's not much money anyway, but we want to bring to people's attention the warnings in these ancient prophecies. We were sad because we had to endure a lot of attacks, and that kind of proves our theory about Americans being divided. I did not write any of the quatrains, Nostradamus did. But some viewers jump to a fighting position as soon as they hear a word they don't like. Trust me, if you continue attacking the messenger, no one will want to deliver the mail. I suggest people who do hate my decoding to come up with their own interpretations. For example, some called me names when I thought the old man in quatrain 65 in century 8 is about President Trump. Most of the quotes are hard to dispute, but their blood pressure rose when they saw the word tyrant. Calm down, my friend. Nostradamus is known to make some spelling mistakes. Maybe in your interpretation, you can explain to your viewers that tyrant should really be tycoon. But there are a lot of encouraging words. We felt we needed to look for more warnings about the near future. After one viewer asked us to make a follow-up video if we see more bad news. Look, we don't want to spread bad news. We only want to warn about possible bad news so people can prepare for it. And guess what? We found a few more quatrains with some very bad news, and we hope you are ready for it. Finding a Doomsday quatrain in the Book of Prophecy is nothing new. People have been doing that for the last 500 years. But the problem is timing. We know Doomsday will come, but we don't know when it will come. The only way to know for sure is when you find an event pointing to an event you can relate to, and that also has dire Doomsday warnings. You may wonder, if it is so hard to decode, how did we come up with the warnings for 2017 and 2018? In 2017, we found in both crop circles and Nostradamus' book warnings about North Korea. So we predicted that in 2017. We found in the Chinese prophecy Tuibei 2 about possible conflicts between China and Taiwan, so we predicted that. And in 2018, we know the Trump administration will be in trouble after in office for 20 months. But we did not know that it meant the midterm election loss. So we decoded that wrong. But while we prepared for the video, words started to appear in our mind. So I put cyber war, preemptive strike Saudi coup, technology breakthrough, etc., etc. And we even included finding proof of alien life. Even though that's a long shot. But they all happened. So we did not want to just put words that had popped into our head into the video without finding proof in the prophecy book, because the images we saw were too horrifying. However, I believe it is our duty to share with you what we found. And hopefully we can all hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Nostradamus was French. He wrote so many quatrains about France, Napoleon, and the French Revolution. So I'm pretty sure he won't leave the current French yellow jacket movement out. So I searched for jacket and vest, which came out empty. Then I tried yellow, with one hit that is obviously unrelated to the current problems. Then we spent the whole afternoon thinking, how would Nostradamus send the message to us? Then we decided to read more news articles about the protest. We decided to look for quatrains with the word Paris. And we did find that in 11 quatrains, so we read those. We did find, specifically in Century 6, quatrain 23 to be very interesting. Quote, coins depreciated by the spirit of the realm, and people will be stirred up against their king. New peace made, holy laws become worse. Paris was never in so serve an array. The reason I thought this is about the Yellow Jacket movement is because it was stirred up against the government when the 25% diesel tax was placed. Many people just can't afford that. Although the intention is to pacify the environment, but money worth less when the government decided to impose tax they can't afford. What's interesting was that the government tried to soften the blows by offering incentives to encourage trading old cars. But the riots only got worse. Although this sounded exactly like what has happened now in France, we had to admit that history often repeats itself. So it could mean the French Revolution, especially when, quote, Paris was never in so serve an array, was mentioned in line 4. Because we have seen worse. When Frenchmen went crazy in 1788 during the French Revolution. But the next quatrain can be really interesting since we believe some important information can be found in clusters of quatrains. Century 6, quatrain 24, quote, Mars and the scepter will be found conjoined. Under Cancer calamitous war, shortly afterwards a new king will be anointed, one who for a long time will pacify the earth. I personally don't think nor believe a war will really break out. So I will say this quatrain is not about the current riots, but is more likely about the French Revolution. However, there was no new king for a long time after the French Revolution, so this can still be about the current protest. Especially, it talks about Mars, which gives a timeline hint. If the Mars insight does find some kind of scepter, or if President Macron resigns, then this can be the quote. But if a new president is chosen, the new one seems to be firm on pacifying the earth and would continue the route on clean air. Honestly, I'm not totally convinced about these two quatrains, because it could mean the past, present, or future events. However, what I found next really knocked my socks off. In Century 3, quatrain 93, quote, in Avignon, the chief of the whole empire will make a stop on the way to desolated Paris. Tricast will hold the anger of Hannibal. Lyons will be poorly consoled for the change. As you know, the protest is not only in Paris, but all over France. Avignon is one of the cities that has a huge problem, as this picture has been seen all over the world, and Lyons is also mentioned in many articles. But the worrisome part is the quatrain before it. I found the Yellow Jacket movement started in Narbonne, and these two form a cluster. In Century 3, quatrain 92, quote, the world near the last period. Saturn will come back again late. Empire transferred towards the dusky nation. The eye plucked out by the Gauchoc at Narbonne. Isn't that scary? Nostradamus actually marked that movement as a sign of the end time, and calling empire transferred towards the dusky nation. Isn't the reason for the gas tax to clean the air? So the country won't be a dusky nation? The person who started the movement is Ghislain Coutard of Narbonne. Now, let's look at the quatrain after. In Century 3, quatrain 94, quote, for 500 years, more one will keep count of him. Then suddenly great light will he give. He who for the century will render them very satisfied. You may think I'm crazy, but I thought this quatrain is Nostradamus speaking to me. For 500 years, Nostradamus was considered the best prophet. But the quatrains decoded are really not that impressive. Researchers found a line or a quatrain and called that prophecy fulfilled. Any words that did not fit were called misspelled. But we suddenly find quatrains describing his prophecies with laser precision. We have found clusters of quatrains, a bunch of key words, and I am sure he would be very satisfied if he was living in this century. I believe everyone has a mission in life. I believe the many videos we have made on this subject is not to bring the light to ourselves, nor to spread unnecessary fear, but to bring his valuable work to more people. If one writer can find clues on every event she has searched on, can you imagine what we would find if 10 people with an open mind were working on decoding the prophecy? This is Ken Peters. Thank you for watching.